Bettor Sports Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on a football Friday here on Bettor Sports Network Fantasy Alarm. Thanks for everyone jumping in on a Friday to preview Week 3, give out some best bets and picks for Week 3. Got Howard Bender here on Fridays as normal. What's up, man?
What's going on, Servo? I'm super pumped, man. I've literally just been dissecting. That's all I've been doing is dissecting this week's NFL slate and sitting on broadcasts. That's all I've been doing. And you know what, man? It's like I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go. Let's make some money, dude.
There's nothing better than just talking some football. This is gonna be a fun slate. Yesterday gave out some college football picks. It's gonna be an awesome college football Saturday. Some top 10 matchups and stuff going on. But Sunday, I mean, these are some crucial. Like the 0-2 teams that need a win. The 2-0 teams, are we too high on them? And a lot of pivotal matchups. Obviously the injuries, the Chubb injury, we saw last night the Saquon injury affecting the Giants, but some of the injuries. Bryce Young is out. We got Andy Dalton starting our quarterback for the Panthers. So should be a fun Sunday. And we'll be giving out all of our game picks, all of our player props, our touchdown predictions. Howard is red hot to start the season, so you got to get his picks in. I think I'm feeling a little thing. I went 3-0 last night with the Giants 49ers, so I'm feeling good coming into this show, Howard.
Yeah, listen, I was rock solid with the I missed on a couple of props from the Thursday night game, but I had the Niners covering the spread. I had the under, felt really good about it. I mean, the game basically went exactly as I thought it was going to go. There were a couple of moments like I missed out on like Matt Breida, over 12.5 receiving yards. Right, he had like one catch for 8, and then they threw him back-to-back passes in the fourth quarter where he lost 7 yards in total. You were like, oh, the opportunity was right there. I was just about to cash that one. That didn't hit. Daniel Jones didn't run at all.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
That was a weird one. But, I mean, listen, but it went exactly as I thought. I actually said 31-10 was going to be the final score of this game on the Fantasy Alarm show yesterday.
I said 30-10.
So like we're right there. I mean, so we knew, like we had all the everything kind of, locked in there. So yeah, if you bet with us on that, congratulations, man. It's always good. It's just a great feeling. I played San Francisco in a couple of survivor pools as well.
There you go. Yep.
It's just like now all of a sudden you walk into this weekend and you're just like, all right, I'm up. All right. That's always a great place to be. And here in Week 3, what I love about Week 3 is that while yes, a 2-week, 2-game sample size is not great, and there are some stats waiting to be corrected, we're now seeing patterns. We're seeing things develop with these teams where we're able to, identify what numbers are working and what aren't. So I feel like we're pretty well locked in.
Yeah, it's awesome to start out the week with some wins. And yesterday, me and James Grande both gave out some picks that won. He hit on a Deebo Samuel anytime touchdown. I had Deebo Samuel's props.
Boom.
Bobby Okariki's tackles hit the over I gave out, so that was awesome. Grande also gave out Daniel Jones's rushing, which he should have ran more. I don't know what was happening there, but so good to start out with some wins, and but try not to get too high because we got to go into this Week 3 slate with just some fresh takes and some looks at these games. So, by the way, if you got any,
dude, come on, what are you talking about? I go 8-1 in Week 1.
You're riding high.
I go 7-2 in Week 2, and now all of a sudden you're like, well, we'll see. Come on, Servo, we're crushing it.
We're crushing it, but I'm trying to stay even keeled here.
We are. No, don't stay even keel. Enjoy it. Like that's the thing, man. It's like enjoy the winnings, enjoy the high times with it. That's what it's supposed to be all about, right? Don't get so stuck in the mud if you miss a couple of picks here and there. If you're profiting on the overall, that's what matters, and that's why, now, I'm just going to keep doing exactly what I'm doing. I'm not changing the process at all. I'm betting games exactly the way I keep betting them. And, we'll just keep cruising with this, man. That's it. That's all we got to do.
Love that mindset. By the way, if you have any picks of your own that you want to throw in the chat here, throw it at us. Definitely hit us up, whether you're watching on YouTube, throw them in the chat here. We had Mulroyd last night. He threw out the Elijah Mitchell over rushing yards, and he hit on that one because that was a good call by him. Yeah, so throw them out here. It's not just me and Howard giving out winners. We got people in the chat that have ideas and picks that are different than our own. So definitely hit us up there. And if you are watching on YouTube, it helps us out to definitely subscribe to the Fantasy Alarm channel, the Bettor Sports Network channels. Hit the like button as well on this video.
Please, how we feed our families. That's why Servo doesn't have kids and I don't have any kids, because there's not enough people smashing the like and subscribe button for us to be able to have kids.
That's the reason why we don't. Both of us don't have kids.
I'm childless because you guys aren't hitting like and subscribe enough.
Oh man,
there's one right there.
Producer Adam Bernard behind the scenes, by the way. Shout out to him for always being here with us, keeping the show on schedule here. All right, let's dive into week 3. And listen, we're gonna start with a game where Monday's show, the last time you and me, Howard, gave out picks, we were on the opposite side of that Panthers-Saints game. Ended up a push, so we're both good, right?
We're good.
But this week, we're starting out with a game we both agree on, a line we both agree on. So let's get right into it. The Falcons. Yeah, we're riding together. The Falcons +3. You get plus money on BetMGM, plus 100. But you get them as underdogs here. Listen, I want to hear your thoughts too, but this is disrespect for the Falcons, man. They're getting 3 points against the Lions, a banged up Lions team. Give me them as underdogs here to keep this. I think they can win outright. I would sprinkle the money line too. I love getting the 3 points here for the Falcons.
I absolutely love getting 3 points for the Falcons in this matchup here. Simply because, again, I don't believe in Detroit's defense. And this is something that we saw last year as well in the very beginning of the season. You remember they had all those shootouts?
Yeah.
Right. I believe in the Lions offense when it's all healthy and it's humming and it's working, because right now, I mean, David Montgomery hasn't been ruled out yet, but could get ruled out.
Likely.
You've got Amon-Ra St. Brown with, wearing a shoe that everybody is in the business is saying it's, a shoe like that is for turf toe. And that's what's going on. So he's not at 100%. I do like Josh Reynolds, but he's questionable. They just lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson, their safety. That's a big miss in that secondary, which isn't really that great of a secondary either. So, I look at this as they're going to, the best part of the Lions defense is Aiden Hutchinson. Great pass rusher there. But, I mean, you can neutralize that by just, ground and pound with Bijan and Tyler Algier throughout this entire game, right? Or, for the entire first half, just run the hell out of the ball, because you're going to wear down that defensive line. You're not, Hutchinson's not doing what he's specializing in and that. And then all of a sudden, then you start to play action because everybody's biting on the run because it's all you've been doing is running the whole way. And you know what? Maybe that opens things up a little bit for Drake London, little Kyle Pitts with no Chauncey Gardner Johnson in there. That could open things up nicer for Kyle Pitts, especially if you get the linebackers just expecting the run. So I think Arthur Smith's got this down pat. Now the question is does Dan Campbell get the offense going enough to, counter, on the regular here? And, if the Lions do end up winning this one here, is it going to be by more than a field goal? I don't think so at all. If anything, I think that at worst, we push. At worst, I think we push on this bet.
This is a situation where, I mean, so the Lions at home are getting those 3 points that kind of like, all right, NFL home teams get 3 points.
Uh-huh.
But if this was flipped, we probably getting the Falcons at, maybe 3 points in their favor. I feel like this line should be the other way around. So I'm happily grabbing them as underdogs. You outlined all those injuries. They're also possibly going to be missing Taylor Decker and Halapoulivaati Vaitai on the line. Both of them are questionable and possibly out for this game. Those are huge too, because we talked about in the offseason previewing the Falcons how they made a lot of key additions on the defensive side of the ball, where they struggled last year, but they made a lot of key additions, especially in the secondary, where this defense is a lot better than you'd think for the Falcons. And yeah, I'm with you on the Falcons offense, just riding Bijan. They're using him, in a lot of different ways. They're getting creative. And, the fact that they do have Tyler Algier there to kind of just ground and pound both of those together, letting Desmond Ridder just kind of be a game manager. You mentioned like Kyle Pitts, Drake London, going to find some holes in this game. And yeah, the Lions defense is a worry, because I think the Falcons offense overall as a unit is better than what the Seahawks are. And we just saw what the Seahawks did last week in this game. So, give me the Falcons here. I'm glad we're both on the same side here.
And I feel like it's a bet it now too, because if they
it was at 3.5.
What's that?
It was at 3.5 this
Right.
line.
Yeah. So bet it now, because once they do start ruling out guys like Vaitai, that's just gonna I mean, I don't see this line flipping, but I do see like if they start ruling a bunch of guys from Detroit out, I do see this coming down to like a possibly a 2, maybe even a 1.5.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, going under that key field goal line. Is Vegas is probably like, all right, we can't get too burned on this. But I'm with you. We got M. Rojas in the YouTube chat throwing out a little parlay I think he's got going. He likes Bijan Robinson over 97.5 rushing plus receiving yards, and Algier over 41.5 rushing yards, and the money line for the Falcons. That's probably a nice juicy parlay though, or you could grab them all individually. He said probably going to get spicy and juice Bijan to plus 125 plus total yards. Yeah. I mean, listen, they're using him as a receiver. They're using him plenty as a rusher. Even Algier's getting his, 15 carries, but Bijan's still being used a lot. That's what this offense is, as we know, with Arthur Smith. So I'm liking those. I mean, what do you think about the Bijan props? I know neither of us gave out any Falcons props on the show today, but I was looking at Bijan.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm invested in the game. Like that's me. I'll invest in the game if there are player props that I do really like. But the thing about it is like, I mean, listen, I like this. The 97.5 rushing and receiving. If you do want to get spicy, you can get spicy. And bring it up there. I don't necessarily know if I need to do that, want to do that. If I'm sitting here in a decent parlay like this, I'll just kind of like sit tight, and just kind of do that. But I'm not, I mean, and full disclosure, I'm not a big prop better. I've never been a big prop better. I bet games, right? I bet spreads, and I bet, over unders predominantly. Occasionally I'll dabble with some props and stuff like that. I do research them and I look into them and I shop around for different ones, for, giving stuff out on the site and stuff like that. And I bet everything that I put out. Like you'll see like, 5 props and the regular bet on the Thursday night game, and know for a fact that I've got a bet, action on all of them, because I won't give it out if I won't. But I don't like betting props. It's just not something I like to do. I like to let the chips fall where they may on games themselves.
I like betting props on games that I don't have like a pick on. Like you said, we're both going with the Falcons here plus the 3. If there's an instance in the game where they can cover or win outright, but it's, maybe at a detriment of a prop, then, that's definitely a conflict there. But I think if it's a game where I don't have a pick on, I'll gladly, pick out a prop. And I have a couple coming up that are games that I don't really have a pick on, but be rooting for one or two players in that game to come through.
Yeah, I do as well. Sick.
Yeah. By the way, Mulroyd, there you go. Mulroyd commented on the YouTube chat here saying he's looking at Hunter Henry over 3.5 receptions plus 125 on DraftKings. It's the Jets D though. Thoughts on that? I do a pick on this game in a little bit, but any thoughts on Hunter Henry's receptions here?
Let's see. No, I do kind of have some concern about it. I mean, the Jets, they've given up about an average of 31.5 receiving yards to the tight end position. Teams don't throw to the tight end a ton in this one. I was talking to John and Pemba earlier today. We were talking about Mike Gesicki. He's actually really in on Gesicki this week. And so, I mean, I don't love it. I hate it. Like, see, there you go. Like, looking at like Hunter Henry's props, to bet a prop like that, like you kind of have to have a good idea as to which way the coach is going to go with the offense. And it's the Patriots. So I have no idea how it's going to go. And,
especially because they do have Gesicki, having those two tight ends, it makes it risky betting on either one.
Yeah. Plus you've got, this interchangeable, receivers that they kind of roll through here as well. I don't know, man. I mean, like,
I will say this is a bet I wouldn't make personally because one of my picks here is the under in this game. I'm going Patriots-Jets under. So I'm not rooting for much offense at all. Maybe a few receptions to Hunter Henry won't be so bad, but I like the under here. It's a low total at 36.5, but it's low for a reason. Listen, this game is going to be a defensive battle. We both know the Jets and the Patriots defense are both one of the elites in the league. And this is something I've said for a couple weeks now. The Jets are going to have to win games with a really strong defense, and they know it with Zach Wilson now under center besides Aaron Rodgers. I took this stance last week when they played the Cowboys, and the game went 1.5 over the total. So I think it was like the right read overall, but it did barely go over. But I'm still going back to unders with the Jets because they need to play strong defense. And they got Mac Jones on the other side, and we all know the Patriots offense. I know, he threw it all around the Eagles in week 1, but this is still an offense that is one of the below average, offenses in the league, especially against the Jets D here. The other side, I do think the Patriots defense is going to have a lot of success against the Zach Wilson led offense here. The overall thing here though, that kind of just puts the cherry on top is we got this East Coast tropical storm rolling in. It's going to affect these games. I looked at this, a lot of East Coast college football games on Saturday, but on Sunday with the NFL, you have games like this one. The Bills Commanders could get a little sloppy, but this one being in North Jersey there, it's going to be really, rainy, windy conditions. So I'm looking at the under here and a stat from the past few seasons, game totals that have been at 37 or below have hit at a 78% rate, going 18-5 to the under. So I'm still liking the under here, even though it's dropped. It was at like 38 a couple days ago, but I think it's moving to the under for a reason because this is going to be one of those defensive battles. First one to 17 points probably wins.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I figure it's going to, I don't even know if either team gets to 17. I was thinking this is more like a 16-10 type game.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, we'll see what the weather if it could be 14-7, just if like the kicking is no good because of bad weather.
That too.
It could go 14-7, but either way, I don't see either team really doing a lot of scoring there. It depresses me to no end, knowing what could have been with the New York Jets. But alas, there you go.
They could still pull out the win. It's only a 2.5 point spread.
You mentioned the possible weather issues down in Washington. It is supposed to clear out actually from the DC area, before the game is supposed to start. But I still have Washington Commanders plus 6.5 in this one. Maybe the field is a little slick. Josh Allen, not turnover proof. I mean, we saw the Jets get to him a bunch. Washington, they just got Chase Young back. Their pass rush, real deal. I think what they ended up with like 8 sacks this past week. I mean, I think that what we're looking at here is a very formidable defense and one that's kind of underrated. And as much as I like Josh Allen and James Cook, I just think that, and Stephon Diggs. I don't want to leave you out, Stephon. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't think that Buffalo is as high octane in offense that we would think that this would be like any kind of a track meet right now, given Washington's defense. And the Bills have a good defense also, and they're going up against Sam Howell. I just think that the Commanders keep this one close enough in order to cover this spread.
Listen, I'm staying away from this because I could see the Bills winning by, like 2 touchdowns in this spot.
Of course you could, but will they?
Yeah.
I like it. Listen, if you're opposite me, man, I feel great about that. Oh, just kidding.
Dang. Yeah. So, all right. So that's the Commanders plus 6.5. I mean, yeah, the 6.5 line is very, very fishy too, when you think about it. So I like that. I'd probably just stay away from it, but, all right. Another pick of mine, also a 6.5 point spread, going with an underdog there. I'm going with the Broncos plus 6.5, on the road in Miami. We always talk about Miami, maybe teams are going out the night before, hitting up some clubs, but this is a business trip for Denver. Okay. They're 0-2 here. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, if they lose this, go 0-3. We all know the trends for 0-3 teams likely missing the playoffs. This has got to be a game they got to get. So I think they're going to keep it close, possibly win outright, but I'll gladly take the 6.5. I just think Sean Payton and Russell Wilson are going to both be motivated here in the spot. And both, when you look at some of their trends from both of their, long careers as underdogs and coming off a loss, they're both like 60+% against the spread in these spots. Both have experienced just, bouncing back, defying expectations when they're road underdogs. So I like them here. And a key thing here is that Jalen Waddle might be out with a concussion. He's missed practice. He could be out. And I think that's, obviously we know how good Tua and Tyreek have been, but if Waddle's out, then that gives the Broncos a chance to put Pat Surtain, their shutdown corner, on Tyreek Hill and probably limit the offense a bit for the Dolphins, follow Hill around, limit just how many plays he's really breaking out. So I think this is a great buy low spot on Denver and a good time to sell high a little bit on Miami. So give me the 6.5 with Denver.
Yeah. You know what? I have a prop that lends its support to this. So
okay.
I don't want to reveal it, but but
you're offering your early support right now.
I'll just give you my prop supports your cause.
Okay.
It supports your cause.
Okay.
So with that, best of luck. No, I think it could be closer than a lot of people are thinking. Chargers Vikings, dude. I'm fish hooked into it, 100%. Just give me the over 54. Sure, why not? Listen, look at the numbers for the Chargers defense. The Chargers defense is terrible. It really is. I mean, they're giving up, I think like 105 rushing yards per game. They're giving up 333 passing yards per game. Teams are just, and it's a reason why they're 0-2 because of that. They're 0-2 because of that. They go in, now they're taking on Minnesota, who's also 0-2 and completely desperate and has an absolutely beautiful passing attack. But you know what else Minnesota doesn't have? A defense. And while the numbers, if you look at the numbers, you look at the data, and this is where, like I said earlier in the show, that there's some numbers are waiting to correct themselves. I know Minnesota's personnel. Okay. I love Brian Flores as much as the next guy, but this is not a good defense. All right. They're giving up 160 yards per game on the ground. They've given up 4 rushing touchdowns, in that span. On the passing side, they played Tampa Bay in week 1, and Tampa Bay is not a strong passing team by any stretch of the imagination. So of course they're not going to do that. And then in week 2, they played your Eagles, And your Eagles were like, oh, we're just going to keep running on you. And Jalen Hurts has 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift, 155 yards and a touchdown. And so they didn't need to pass the ball. The Chargers are going to pass the ball, and they're going to do a ton. And this secondary is just not ready to handle Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joshua Palmer, Quentin Johnston, Gerald Everett. I mean, they're not capable of doing that. So despite what the data says that Minnesota's kind of like a mid-level, like your average defense, they're not. And that's numbers waiting to correct themselves. So Chargers, Vikings, I'm taking the over on that one. It's a fun one too, because like, who doesn't want to see that game turn into 48-46 at some point?
Yeah, I'm with you on this, and I have a player prop coming up in a little bit that also supports this over, because, and I'll be targeting the Chargers defense side of things. But you're right, both defenses are going to let up a lot of yards, a lot of scores in this one. It's basically going to be Herbert and Cousins going back and forth, just chucking it like 80 plus times between them, I think. So I like it. I like your call there. Yeah, 54. Yeah, and both teams just like the mindset for both being 0-2. Both really need a win here. I feel like this is going to get fun in the fourth quarter with basically like last one to have the ball is going to win, and it could be just back and forth scores. Yeah, good call in there with the over. This is the highest over under too on the slate, but you're taking the over, not scared away.
It's the highest it's been all year. Any game, there's no game that was. I think like there was like the Chiefs Lions. I think opened up at like 54, but went down to like I think they ended up like settling it out at like 52 or something like that. Is where the line ended
when Kelsey got ruled out. Yeah.
So. Anyway, am I giving another one here? I got stuff. Stuff. You know what? I mean, I'll shout this one out to my boy Tommy Roush, and I'm taking the Raiders, and I'm laying 2.5 points, because there's no way, even as a home team, there's just no way that the Raiders should be favored. I get that there are some struggles for Pittsburgh's offense, and nobody likes Matt Canada, but I'm never gonna like wholeheartedly bet against Mike Tomlin. So I'm like, I really don't understand this line here. And, trying to like think about why I don't understand this line, and I'll look at where the public money's going, in a day or two. But for right now, man, I'm looking at this as like, I think the Raiders are desperate for the home win. Can they do it by at least a field goal? Yes, I do think they can. I do, I'm Pittsburgh's just got some trouble. So as bad as the Raiders defense can be at times, and it can be bad, I also think that that Pittsburgh's offense really gets stuck in the mud on its own and could have some problems there. So I'm gonna take the Raiders. I'm gonna lay those points.
Listen, I'm with you, because I looked at this line too and was very tempted to take the Steelers, but then in my back of my mind, like you were saying, like, you know what? I think the Raiders are favored here for a reason. And listen, the Steelers coming off that, Monday night emotional like conference win. And they needed like 2 defensive scores to actually pull out the win. 2
defensive scores and Nick Chubb to go out.
And Nick Chubb getting hurt. Yeah. At the end of the game, it was like basically like the Steelers like can't do anything on offense, but the Browns are just kind of handing it to him because Nick Chubb was hurt and the offense with Deshaun Watson wasn't looking great. So
it's not clicking, no.
This is a Sunday night game too. Should be a good one to watch on Sunday Night Football. By the way, for Sunday Night Football, we have the Bettorcast rolling again for here on the Bettorcast app. We're gamifying Sunday Night Football so you can predict what will happen during the Steelers-Raiders game and test your NFL knowledge. Chat with our community about all the big plays, top performers, busts in real time. No purchase or subscription is necessary. Just free to play, always free to play. You answer pregame and live in-game questions on different props. Which team will score next, which team will have the next score. Be leading at halftime. Like all these different questions. It's awesome to just jump in. We did it, for Thursday Night Football, doing it for all these primetime games. So you answer the questions and you win tickets that can be redeemed for authentic NFL signed gear and collectibles. The more you get right, the more tickets you get. Download the free BetterCast app in the Apple app and Google Play stores. Must be at least 18 years of age to play. So yeah, scan that QR code too, or just download that BetterCast app for free. And so that's for Sunday Night Football. You can follow along and bank on your Raiders pick with Howard. All right, another pick I'll throw out here. I think we both got a couple more, but this is a teaser because we got the Cowboys and the Chiefs both at 12.5 on the spread here. I'm scared away from backing either against the spread as big favorites here, but I like teasing both down so you can get a 6-point teaser minus 120 on DraftKings for both, and the spreads are just teased down to 6.5 for both. So we're banking on the Cowboys and the Chiefs to both win by a touchdown. I think they can do it because, on the one side, we got the Cowboys against a Cardinals team that, really fell apart to blow that game against the Giants last week. I think the Cowboys, obviously, much better than the Giants. I think they should win easy here, even on the road. And then the other side, I have faith in the Chiefs here against the Bears team. It's kind of they're a little bit falling apart. There's some, the defensive coordinator's gone. Fields has been making some, comments about trying to get some different play calling and all that. It's not a good vibe right now with Chicago. But I still think they have a chance to cover the 12.5, but I like getting a touchdown for the Chiefs. I don't see how either of these games, ends up less than a one-score game, one touchdown game for both. So give me the Cowboys and Chiefs. On the teaser, 6-point teaser, minus 120 on DraftKings.
There you go. I hate the Cowboys.
Well, I do too, but
I'm rooting very hard for Arizona in this game. Very, very hard for Arizona. So I'm sorry I can't support your teaser. I love the Chiefs. I do think it's crazy dysfunctional there in Chicago right now. There's a lot of wacky stuff going on. So. But I'm sorry, Servo. I mean, the Cardinals have to win this one 78-0 in order to make me feel good about it. All right.
Is it Jim Bowden related?
Always. It's always Jim Bowden related when it comes to the Cowboys. Last game I'm going to say or give out or whatever it is. This is actually from Monday Night Football. Rams right now, they're +3. All right. This line is going to flip as soon as they announce that Joe Burrow is officially out. For this week. So this is a bet it now. Immediately, this line will flip once Joe Burrow is officially ruled out. If it doesn't flip outright, which I do think it will, right? I think you'll end up with Cincinnati, maybe +1, 1.5, something like that. But bet it now. Get 3 points for the Rams because I don't think Joe Burrow is playing this week. And if he does play, I just don't see him being 100%.
Yeah, and it's already moved a little bit. 2.5 is the spread right now.
There you go. See,
but you could probably find a 3 out there. But I'm with you on this. I like this getting this in on a Friday because we'll be giving out some picks for the 2 Monday Night Football games coming up on Monday. But again, by that time, the spread might be flipped to the Rams side of things. So
I think the Friday official injury report to submit for the league is 6 p.m. Eastern is the deadline, right? So they're gonna list Burrow if they list him as questionable, then I guess you have a couple of extra minutes. But if they list Burrow as out at 6 p.m. tonight, you watch this line just.
I mean, why is it still that deadline for them because they're playing on Monday, or is it tomorrow?
No, I think all teams have to just submit their practice reports for today and list all their players going into the weekend. Okay. So that's all. It's just one of those things they could, yes, technically the Bengals could just list them as questionable and just hold out hope and make that final decision on Monday. But I mean, if they're going to play that kind of a game, do you even really want to invest? Take the points right now while you're getting them and just move on.
And for everyone wondering, the backup, because I honestly didn't fully know this, is Jake Browning for the Bengals. Browning. So it's Stafford against Jake Browning on Monday Night Football. All right, yeah, good call getting that in now for Monday Night Football. All right, let's talk some player props. We gave out some game picks. Let's now turn to some player props for tonight. What is your top player prop that you want to roll out for Sunday's game?
Top player prop? Well, you know
Or
what?
just any of them,
I kind of dig this one a lot here. Javonte Williams over 2.5 receptions. I found it at plus 124, which I kind of find odd, but when you think about it, I mean, Javonte didn't even get targeted, or he got like 1 or 2 targets this last game that Denver was playing, and it was like a high scoring game, and it was a little surprising that that's the way it went down. I don't think that they are, I think Miami gets out to a lead in this one, and I think Denver falls into a pass heavy mode. But knowing Vic Fangio and how his defensive schemes are in Miami, I think Joe Lombardi is going to rely a lot more on the checkdowns to Javonte Williams. So, I think the over 2.5 receptions is plus money because he wasn't involved really in any kind of, none of the running backs were involved in the, in the passing attack last week. So I'm going to buy into knowing that, running backs are heavily targeted in a Joe Lombardi offense, that over 2.5 receptions on a game where they're a 6.5 point underdog as well. I think they're going to have to throw, and I think Javonte catches some passes.
I'm with you there because, I gave out the Broncos as underdogs to cover the spread. And I mentioned, we need an A game from Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, and they need to use their top guys. And Javonte Williams is their top offensive weapon, I think, especially in the backfield. But the fact that Judy's come back from injury, but still, we'll see how much he's fully out there. But I think that the offense overall for the Broncos has to be better this week. I like that one. I'll throw out. You mentioned the Chargers Vikings over, and I got a pick for that one because give me Kirk Cousins over passing yards, over 289.5 passing yards on DraftKings minus 115. You broke it down just how this game should be, feature a ton of offense on both sides, but the Chargers pass defense has been looking shaky. They allowed 466 passing yards to Tua in week 1. And then 246 to Tannehill last week. But that's also, against the Titans offense where they handed off to Derrick Henry 25 times. Tannehill only had 24 pass attempts. But I'm looking at that matchup against the Dolphins where Tua was lighting them up. And I see a similar thing here for Cousins because this Minnesota offense, we've seen Cousins throw it 44 times in both games already this season. Has at least 340 passing yards in both games too. I know they just traded for Cam Akers and maybe want to lean on the run more moving forward, but I don't think that's going to happen in this game. I think this is a game where the Chargers are going to push the pace too to really force the Vikings to throw and keep pace on the scoreboard. So I think it's going to be a Cousins and Herbert shootout here. And I looked at both of their passing yards, ultimately just went with the Cousins prop because I think he's still going to be throwing it like 40 times again and should go over. Should look at 300 plus passing yards again.
I think both teams are going to try to establish the run early in this game because both Minnesota and the Chargers, they have very soft run defenses. So you will see Joshua Kelly, you will see Alexander Madison kind of going head to head. But, you've got two coaches who are probably the equivalent of like Yosemite Sam come busting into the room. Bam, 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 bam. Like that's.
Well, I actually agree with you that the first quarter might see like, all right, we're getting some more handoffs and all that.
Yeah, you're gonna be like 6-3. What the hell's going on here?
I feel like after halftime it's gonna be like, all right, let's open it up. Let's start going here.
Right? Yosemite Sam just coming in, just starting to shoot him up. Because both teams, neither one of these teams can afford to lose this game. So you're gonna have desperation on the part of Shane Steichen and Kevin O'Connell. Neither one of them want to start off that low. So yeah, I think there was a.
Well, not Shane Steichen, by the way, right? For the Chargers.
Oh, no, Brandon Staley. I'm sorry, Brandon Staley. Shane Steichen is Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Another guy sitting on the hot seat.
Yeah.
So
and now Anthony Richardson is out this week.
Steichen, Staley. Either way, it's Yosemite Sam. That's what this game's going to look like.
All
Kenneth
right, what else?
Walker, over 63.5 rushing yards. I love this matchup for him. I'm also seeing some rain in the forecast in Seattle, which is something to pay attention to. But Carolina Panthers, 135 rushing yards per game allowed, 4 rushing touchdowns allowed so far. Kenneth Walker is just going to boom. He's just going to bull rush him the entire time. Shane Waldron will get his, fun little passing action in there, but I feel like this is a game where Pete Carroll's just like, you're going to run the football. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to chomp my gum, and you're going to run the football. That's what's going to happen. I'm thinking of a very big week for Kenneth Walker. On the DFS side of things, he's in the watch list. He will be in the playbook. He is on the cover of the Fantasy Alarm DFS podcast.
Yeah.
Or live stream, whatever you want to call it, the DFS show. Me and Impemba, we're both in on Walker. I'm locking down this 63.5 rushing yards. Yes, please. Give me that minus 215.
Well, listen, if that is true, if that comes true and the Seahawks are, leading for this game throughout, riding the ground game, then we got the Panthers playing from behind, and I'm going with a prop on the other side here. Give me Adam Thielen to go over 34.5 receiving yards. It's Andy Dalton at quarterback, which you can think either way about it, but I think this actually helps Thielen because we got 2 vets. Andy Dalton's coming in here. I feel like he's going to be looking Thielen's way more often than not, knowing he's got a sure-handed receiver there, looking for some easier completions. So I think that helps out Thielen, who bounced back. He had a quiet week 1, but bounced back last week on Monday Night Football. Had 7 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown, which I think is his arrow's pointing up now that the Panthers are like, all right, we got to get him more targets in this offense. Bryce Young obviously was the quarterback last week, looked his way, but I think Dalton's doing the same thing here. Going against the Seahawks defense that's allowed 300 plus passing yards in both games so far. I think that the Panthers are going to need to look at Thielen, and if they are trailing, they're going to be throwing it more often than not. Also in these last 2 games, we had the Lions last week had 5 different receivers go over this 34.5 line, including 102 for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Week 1, the Rams had 3 receivers go over this, including 100 plus from both Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua. So I think Thielen is probably the prime candidate to have the most targets this week with Dalton under center. Also, the Seahawks dealing with multiple injuries in the secondary. They have like 5 different guys with questionable coming into this game. Could have a couple of them miss. So kind of keep an eye on that. But I think that helps out Thielen just operating against maybe a backup or 2 in that secondary. So yeah, give me Adam Thielen over 34.5 receiving yards.
I like this, and I can just, kind of just give you the whole, it's Andy Dalton and it's not Bryce Young. And it's a veteran. It's a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, no.
Who's gonna lean on the veteran receiver.
Yeah.
He's gonna try and move it that way. There it is. Like that's like
I don't see Dalton throwing it to Jonathan Mingo more often than Adam Thielen.
Right? Is Andy Dalton gonna chuck it up to Mingo? No, I think Hayden Hurst is a guy you want to look at, maybe possibly his receptions. That could be an intriguing option there as well. But yeah, I like this for the Adam Thielen props. One more that I'm looking at. One I'm definitely betting. The other one I'm kind of tossing the idea. And this goes to Monday Night Football. And this goes to basically it comes down to your Eagles, Servo, and what your Eagles secondary looks like. Because right now I know Terrell Edmonds is banged up, and Avonte Maddox landed on IR. So, you got Bradbury on one side, you got Darius Slay on the other. I'm assuming Slay is going to be all up in Mike Evans' business. And I feel like this is a game where we're going to end up seeing like the pass attempts to Chris Godwin. tick up. So I like Chris Godwin over 53.5 receiving yards. It's funny. Mike Evans's prop is at 54.5 only. So I like, so that means that Vegas is already saying, yeah, okay, we got, Godwin here is probably, we're going to kind of boost him up a little bit. So, Godwin over 53.5 receiving yards. I like that. And then I'm looking into his receptions prop on DK. It's 5.5 at plus 130. I might hit that, on the over. But I'm diving into it a little bit more, and I'm going to go see if there's like maybe a line that brings it down to 4.5 instead of 5.5. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, but I'll certainly take a look at that. But for the time being right now, definitely Godwin over 53.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I like this one for you because, looking at some early, possible picks or props for Monday's show, for the Monday night games, I was looking at this one too because, Avonte Maddox is a huge loss for the Eagles secondary. And if they can put Godwin maybe, lining up in the slot more, facing their backup nickel corner, it's definitely a mismatch. And I could see Godwin catching a bunch of passes, especially like over the middle, when Evans is maybe getting limited by Darius Slay on the outside. So, yeah, like that call. And, the Eagles are favored by 5 here, and it could be a game where they're playing ahead and we see more passing for the Buccaneers overall in the game. So kind of similar to what we just saw with the Vikings last Thursday night. I gave out the Hawkinson props. Most of them hit the over because he was a guy that was like, all right, he's going to catch more passes when they're trailing. And, Jefferson's props went over too, for that matter. But yeah, I think that the receivers against the Eagles defense is definitely the way to go because the rush defense is legit and one of the best in the league. So I think the way to target the Eagles is through the air. So good call on that. My last prop here, I'm going to Deshaun Watson over passing yards, over 227 passing yards on FanDuel. The Nick Chubb injury is huge, obviously, and I feel like the Browns offense is going to need to be more pass centric than they had been, than they really planned to with Chubb healthy. I know, they brought in Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford did a good job last week in Chubb's absence, but we also saw Deshaun Watson throw it 40 times in that game. Only had 235.
Didn't throw it well, mind you.
Yeah, he didn't throw well. That's why. So he only had 235 passing yards on those 40 attempts. But the fact that he threw it that more, I think, is telling that this is what the Browns are going to need to do. And they're facing the Titans here, who had the best rush defense in the league last year. Also had the worst passing defense in the league last year, allowing about 275 passing yards per game. And that's coming, looking basically true this year too. They're very strong against the run. You and me, Howard, have both taken unders whenever running backs are facing the Titans, but they're weaker against the pass. So I think the passing yards will be there for him. Again, he went over this last week, on an uptick in attempts. Week 1, he went under it, only had 154 passing yards, but that was also, with Chubb healthy and in like a rainy, sloppy game where the Browns were leading by double digits in the fourth quarter against the Bengals. So he wasn't throwing it as much and obviously wasn't having as much success. So, yeah, I like Deshaun Watson's passing yards to hit the over here.
I hope so because I'm rooting for Deshaun Watson. The game the other night was, it was very surprising to see him kind of lose his cool, those 2 face masks, and then putting his hands on an official. I don't know if it was the away crowd really getting to him because I know that he takes a lot of abuse from the crowd about everything that went down. I don't know if it was more like, oh crap, I just lost Nick Chubb. Now everything's fallen on me and I've got to do it. So I worry about, the fact that he did seem to unravel a little bit there. And so, I'm rooting for it because I want him to be successful because I think that he's a fantastic quarterback. So I'm going to root for you on this prop, but I'm just leery about, himself just being, I worry about him. I worry about his mental state.
It's a legit worry. I mean, everything that happened to him. And he's, I know he came back last year, but he was looked very rusty last year. Hasn't looked that great so far this year, but I do think his play will start to get better, and it needs to this now with Chubb out. So, all right, let's wrap things up here with a couple touchdown predictions for this week 3 slate before we. All right. All right, who you got hitting pay dirt this week, Howard?
All right. Well, I mean, I've got 3.
Oh.
All right. I know. But I'm gonna go with, let me start with Justin Jefferson at plus 105 to score a touchdown. Mike Williams at plus 145. Yosemite Sam gets his dream. He kills that wascally wabbit, and I hit both those touchdown calls there. Both of those.
Oh, I love it. Listen, yeah, we're both on a high-scoring offensive filled game there. I'm shocked to see Justin Jefferson's touchdown prop at plus odds there. Love that.
I know. I was like, okay, I'll take that. Absolutely. Especially because the last 2 Monday night games I've seen, there were 2 like minus 200 or better touchdown calls. I think one might have been McCaffrey last night, and then the other one was like Nick Chubb on Monday Night Football, something like that. But anyway, Williams and Jefferson, I expect both of these guys to get into the end zone. I'm gonna do it. My serious prop though, like my serious touchdown call though, that you can see it sandwiched in between them, right? It's the meat to the touchdown sandwich here. Tank Bigsby gets into the end zone. It's against Houston. Listen, I know ETN's going to be the main guy. That's fine. But Jacksonville against Houston, I think that, Bigsby in that second half, they just, they run it down Houston's throat. You can always run on Houston, and Bigsby gets in there.
I love that one because I almost went to that one as well, but I'm going with a different Jaguars running back because I think there's a situation where we get both these guys scoring, and that's Travis Etienne, minus 105 to score a touchdown on DraftKings. Yeah, you mentioned Texans rush defense, by the way. They allowed 3 rushing scores to the Colts, and then 3 rushing touchdowns to the Ravens also in week 1. So, week 1 against the Ravens, it was the running backs. Week 2 against the Colts, it was one to Moss, but then Anthony Richardson was involved too. But I think it's Etienne and Bigsby probably both scoring in this one because this Texans rush defense is rough in the red zone against running backs. So, yeah, we could both cash on that one. By the way, your Jefferson one, he could have scored a touchdown last week against the Eagles, but he fumbled out of the back of the end zone. So I think he makes up for it here.
Come on, dude. Why don't put that juju out there on
I'm
me.
saying he makes up for it. It's good vibes. It's good vibes.
Okay.
All right. On that note, we're going to wrap up, but I appreciate everyone tuning in here on a Football Friday, giving out some week 3 picks. Coming up next here on Bettor Sports Network, we do have the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS live show. John and Pemba, James Grande coming up, giving you guys some DFS advice. And then Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, check out the Campus to Canton guys, giving a complete NCAA college football week 4 preview and picks on that show. All right, Howard, good luck with all your bets. Hopefully we both are cashing and rejoin on Monday with some winners. Good luck to everyone else's picks and bets, and we'll see you guys on Monday.
Monday, baby.
Eastern. Later.
Monday. Unless I hit it big.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.